Mike Radich here, and I'm now joined on the phone by MMA Veteran Brian Warren. Brian, how are you?
I'm doing excellent. How you guys doing?
Doing good. Brian, I was on the Gladiator Challenge website, and it says that you're fighting Jack Montgomery on April 29th. Is this true?
This is correct. Yes, sir.
I was under the impression that after your last fight with John De La O, you were going to retire. Why did you decide to return?
You know what? That's so funny is I've retired so many times before, and that was like the one time I never said I was retiring, and somehow there was a rumor that got out that said I was retiring. So I do not know how that happened.
So you got this fight coming up against Jack Montgomery. How much do you know about him?
Honestly, I don't know very much. I know that I've seen a couple little clips on him on YouTube, and just he's a pretty good jiu-jitsu guy. You know, he's a tall, lanky dude like me, and he looks like he's scrappy, and he's got a lot of fights like me, so it seemed like he's going to be a pretty good fight.
Your last fight, like we mentioned, against John De La O, it was for the King of the Cage Legends Super Fight title. How much does that belt mean to you?
Man, since I've taken about 8,472 pictures with it, it's kind of crazy. It means a lot. I mean, it was the first belt I ever won. When I first started, you know, the game is, you know, put the new guy against all the black belts and all the guys that have experience, and that's who I fought in the very beginning. And I had a couple of title fights, you know, for my first couple fights in the game, and I got beat, of course. And then to actually win a belt, to be ready for a title shot, and to have a lot of experience, and to finally win one was, man, it was a great feeling. I compare it to, there's three things in this world that meant the most to me. One was getting saved, I'm a Christian. Number two was getting married. Three, having the birth of my child, and then winning this title were the most exciting things that ever happened to me in my life.
Was it the best moment of your career, or was there maybe another fight? The belt means a lot to you, but as far as the fight goes, is that the best performance, or is there maybe another performance that's better than that?
You know what? I've had a lot of great performances. I think I've shown a lot of heart in a lot of other fights. You know, maybe I've lost or whatever, and there were times that there were a lot of, every fight is special to me, every single one. I mean, whether it be walking to the ring and seeing somebody that I've known for years in the crowd and just seeing that, just sharing that moment of looking in their eyes and them giving me that thumbs up, or being in a fight and where I didn't quit. You know, I took a beating or whatever, and I just showed heart, and a lot of people like that. Or you know, winning the championship and winning that fight by knockout in my last fight was pretty cool. I mean, but the thing with me and fighting, it's not just about fighting; it's just about going through life. And what I've been through in the last 2 years, these fights have meant the most to me, because I'm not just you know, won and lost fights. I've been going through some crazy stuff and struggles, and you know, the divorce and losing my gyms and the economy going down and just stuff like that. But so winning these fights during those tough times are just experiences that mean a lot to me. You know, just to be able to get through those fights and win them while you're going through some crazy mental pain and stress and stuff like that is just a bigger accomplishment than anything for me.
Now, with you coming back to the sport, you never really left. I mean, from what you've been saying, but is some of this stuff, you know, divorce and losing your gym and all that stuff, the reason why you're going to continue to fight?
Oh yeah, I'm at a whole different level now. Like mentally, like I've never been this like fierce. Like where I've had this little edge of just being basically pissed off. And I mean, I don't have nothing to lose now. I really don't. I mean, there's a thing going on with custody of my child now, and then you know, my ex not letting me see my child, so that really makes me upset. And I'm just a little, got a little fire
From June 2006 to June 2008, you had a winless streak during that time. How bad was that losing streak for you?
Was that the first time? I think that was the first time I ever got knocked out. That was the first time, I believe I lost to Kung Lee.
Right.
And I'll tell you why I believe that happened. I relied a lot on my chin. People used to say, man, Brian's a tough guy. You can never knock him out and this and that. Well, I fought a couple of weeks before that. I fought Brody Farber, and I beat him in Hollywood. But I had a call from Scott Coker, and Scott Coker was the matchmaker for Strike Force and K1 and whatnot. And he said, you got to fight. You got to fight Kung Lee. And I knew I had a fight, but there was no communication with me in that, so I didn't know if that fight was really going through. I mean, nobody had called me or anything like that. Well, I told him, I said, I'll take the fight. Anyways, so I fought Brody Farber. Still, I was pretty lumped up. I had knots all over my head, and he threw some shots on me. And then I fought Kung Lee a couple of weeks later, and you know how that went. I mean, I did a flying knee and broke his nose. But at the same time, I lost in the first round. I mean, you can't be taking fights, a couple weeks after, especially tough ones. And I got knocked out in that fight. And, man, that just did something to my confidence. It really messed me up mentally. And then I took a few more last-minute fights. I was just taking payday fights. I needed money, and I fought Justin Levens on 3 days' notice. And then there's somewhere, I'm not sure which order it was, but I fought James Fancher. I got kicked upside the head and had to get 15 stitches and almost lost my eye in that fight and broke my nose. I mean, there was some battles in there, but a lot of it had to do with confidence, I believe.
How have you been able to turn things around? Because right now, a 3-fight win streak, things are going good for you. How have you been able to turn things around?
There's something in every fighter, and I believe it has to do with confidence. I believe really what's been happening with me is that, due to the circumstances of life and I'm gonna throw this back on the economy, man. I thank God for the economy, being real shitty and going down the tubes, because it forced me into a different position. It forced me to have to basically fight like a dog and learn how to live without being comfortable. And to me, not having anything, it goes to show you. I mean, if you look at all the great fighters in the world that have ever come from back in the day, boxers and stuff like that. Mike Tyson didn't have nothing. He grew up, just a tough kid, and until he found a custom model, and he kind of turned it around and helped him to focus. But I mean, there were guys that had nothing. You take stuff away from people and make them hungry, and you're going to find out what they're made of. You're going to find out if they're going to fight or if they're going to fold. And to me, it just made me a little tougher, a little meaner. And I just got a little edge now, and I don't have anything to lose, man. I just want it. You put that mental side of wanting something, in there with someone that knows how to fight and has a lot of experience, and then you're going to have a pretty tough competitor.
How did you get the nickname Unbreakable?
Mr. Unbreakable?
Yeah.
I got that from, you remember that movie, let's see, Unbreakable with Samuel L. Jackson and Bruce Willis?
Yeah.
That movie, my trainer, Eddie Millis, that guy used to, punish me, man, and he kind of hurt me. And he hit me with overhand rights and break his hand on my head and just crazy stuff. And he just said, man, that's your nickname, Unbreakable, Mr. And then all of a sudden I walked to the ring one time, and Tyson Johnson was announcer for King of the Cage at the time, and he said, welcome to the cage, Mr. Unbreakable. And I said, that's pretty cool. It's a cool name. And it just stuck. Everybody started calling me that. And I just had, some pretty tough fights over the years, and, I never gave up. I believe that, I would still get injured sometimes. I broke my leg, I tore the
You fought a lot of good guys: Jeremy Horn, Kung Lee, Jason Mayhem Miller, Jake Shields, Carl Parisian. Who's the best guy you fought?
Oh my goodness, man. Let's see. When I first fought Kung Lee the first time, I was young. I was really young. That was my kickboxing days. I did a lot of kickboxing. Nobody really knows that. But I fought in K1 5 times at 5 different events, and 5 different styles too. To be honest with you, so I just didn't care as long as it was some type of fight. Just wanted to fight, and Kung Lee was one of those fights when I got in the ring and he threw the first kick. I honestly thought to myself, I don't think I'm supposed to be here. He threw the first kick in my head, and I was like, wow, okay. But I finished that fight. I went the distance with him, and that was in K1 at Vegas at the Bellagio. And man, yeah, that guy's pretty sick. He's got some kicks, but I learned some stuff from him too. You know, now I throw spinning back kicks at people that just destroy them, and I got that from him. So I try to take a little something from everybody I fought. You know, all these really good people.
Now, Brian, you've been in the sport a really long time, but you've never fought in the UFC. Is that something that, you know, when you look back in your career, is that something that's, you know, incomplete about your career, or does it really not matter to you if you fought in there or if you haven't fought in there?
You know what, man? I thank you for asking that question, because that's something that's the reason why I started fighting in the first place. I was watching UFC one time, and I didn't want to be a cop, a fireman, or, you know, I don't want to be anything, but when I saw the UFC, I was like, I want to be that. I want to do that. And then I seen these guys, how much they weighed, man. I think it was like chemo fighting. I don't even know who was fighting, but they weighed 230, 240 pounds. So I was like, oh, forget it. That was just a quick idea in my mind. Like, you know, I'd like to try that. But I thought, you know, once I saw the weight class, I'll get killed. And then, invited down to fight in Mexico just a few days later. And I was just like, man, I was just thinking about that. I went down. I took the opportunity when somebody asked me, and I was down there fighting in Mexico just a few days later. Came back with the medal on my neck, all beat up, busted up, but I was so happy that I did that. You know, that I took. But like for me, I'm the type of person that will just. I don't sit around and wait. You know, if I get an opportunity, I jump on it. I'm not a person that has to sit around and think about a lot of stuff. If I want to do it, I do it. I go do it. But as far as UFC, man, you know, that's something inside of me, because I watched UFC the other night. You know, Bones Jones, and he's out there doing his thing, and he's one of my favorite fighters. And then I have a friend of mine, John Alessio, that I used to train with. He just got invited back to the UFC. He just lost that fight against Matt Bullock. And I'm thinking, I'm watching it, and all these people are asking me questions, like, Brian, you know, I'm like, I used to train with that guy about 7 years ago, and, you know, so I'm seeing these guys come and go out of the UFC, and I'm like, the UFC's missing something. They just don't, and not just because it's me. I really believe I'm a role model, but my record is, you know, 16, 15, and 1, and I've actually emailed Joe Silva, and we had some words back and forth, and he said, Brian, your record's not good enough. You know, you got guys that are 7, all this and that. And in my defense, I said, Joe, you know those guys haven't fought anybody. You know, they padded their records. I go, I fought them all, man. I fought all the tough guys out there. And at the time when I lost to them, I was either young in my career, or I took the fight last minute. You know, so I know how tough I am. You know, I know I'd be a good person for the UFC, a good role model. And I would fight any of those guys, and it would be a good fight, because I match up well with everybody. So, I don't know, man. I just guess I got to keep winning my fights, keep winning these belts, and see what happens, you know?
Was there ever a point in time, maybe before your losing streak, you know, early in your career, where you had been in contact with them about possibly going over there?
You know, I tried out for the UFC a couple times. And at the time I tried out, I weighed 185. That was my walk-around weight. And I went to the show both times. It happened to be the fights, the weight class was 185, middleweight. So here I am at the lower part of the tier. You got guys coming from 205 all the way down to 85, so I was a small guy. So I didn't get picked for the show. You know, I had a lot more fights than everybody else, but so I believe if I would have went to
I mean, you definitely have a really good story, but from what I'm hearing, you're saying is you don't think that ship has sailed. You think that there still is a possibility that they might consider you, maybe on short notice or something like that.
You know what, man? I've told them. I said I will fight anything on short notice. You know, you have my number. I'm 37 years old. I really believe I have like 4 or 5 more years, like solid years in this. I mean, I've had so many fights, and right now I feel like I'm the best mentally, physically, and emotionally too. I mean, right now is the time that I can do this. You know, I don't have anything holding me back at all. No gyms. Most of my fights that I've done, I was running a gym for 10 years. I mean, that means focus on other people and myself. So I never gave myself a fair shake at this game. I was always pretty much divided, you know, and now I'm just strictly focused on me now. So there's a lot of different things going on. But that's the road I took, you know, and I'm not complaining about, you know, having, you know, half wins, half losses. I love the fact that I was never scared to fight the best in the world. Because most people they won't, you know, they'll second guess themselves and they won't take these tough fights. And for me, I love to fight and I love to take a challenge. That's me. Whether I win or lose, I'll give it my best at the time for the time constraints that are giving me last minute fights. I mean, when I fought Jeremy Horn, I took that fight on 3 days notice. That dude's 15 pounds heavier than me, and I dropped him with the overhand right. But it was so funny because I did not expect to drop him with the first punch, and when I did, it was almost like I was like, wow, I just this is what I was thinking in my mind. I just dropped Jeremy Horn. I'm about to beat Jeremy Horn. This is gonna be a huge upset. And then when I went down to follow up with him, like I hit him with a few shots, and I woke him back up. That guy's a freak. He's super tough, and he ended up surviving that and ended up taking me down and ended up losing towards the end of the round. But just to fight him was so awesome, man. You know, dude has almost over 100 fights.
What's the game plan for your career going forward? Is it, you know, now that you know you've decided that you're going to be at one weight class? Is it, you know, taking smart fights, or is it taking big name fights? I mean, what exactly are you looking for?
Right now my focus is to win this title. I keep getting, you know, offered these title shots now. So I want to, honestly, man, I want to win like 10 belts now. So I don't care what organization it is. I don't care who I fight. I'm going after belts. So at the end of the day, I can say, you know, I fought this guy, and I won at least 10 titles. And you know, whatever, if along the way comes the UFC or something big, or, you know, Bellator or Strikeforce again or something like that, you know, I'm okay with that. Like I said, I don't ever turn down any fights, and I just love the challenge. So, you know, with that being said, you know, Brian Warren's out here and he'll fight anybody. So just give me a call.
Brian, real quick before I let you go, do you have any sponsors you would like to thank? Anything you want to say to the fans?
I got so many sponsors, man. I don't know if you got enough time. No, definitely. I got. Let's see. There's actually a company that I'm pretty much partnered up with. They're called Limo. It's a really, really healthy company. Basically, Brown TV, man. If you don't know about it, you guys will know about it soon. It's taken off. That's one of my main sponsors. Them and Team Blue Frog. And then a guy, a neighbor of mine, his name's Franklin. He's got a plumbing company. He always hooks me up with some money. It's called Easy Plumbing. It's in Highland, California. Shoot, man, I got so many other ones. Are you sure we got time for this?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. And then we also have Highland Tattoo Revolution in Redlands, California, NutriShop, Highland, California, and Quaid Harley Davidson. And then SoCal Native Clothing. And as far as my fans go, man, you guys are awesome. You know, just appreciate everything. If you guys ever need you know, prayer, talk to me, email me or anything. My email address is unbreakablejim@aol.com. I'm on Facebook. I'm always pretty much interacting with people, and you know, I'm just a regular person like you guys. So, you know, I'm just out here doing things the best I can, and
No problem. Brian, thank you for taking the interview. I really appreciate that, and good luck at Gladiator Challenge Star Wars against Jack Montgomery.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, give me a call after I win this belt, and I'll talk to you guys again.
All right, sounds good.